The decade of the 70s was extremely active for both Physicians and Surgeons Clinic and Quincy Clinic. As services grew, space was tight. In 1971, P&S announced plans to construct a 5-story addition to their 11th and Main building. The commitment of the physicians extended beyond their patients into the community as they sought opportunities to give back and get involved. Recruitment was top priority for both clinics. Throughout the decade, more doctors and more specialties were added. New faces were welcomed, while others were celebrated for their longevity in the field of medicine and their long-standing contributions to this community. Quincy Clinic marked its 40th year.
We had lots of great physicians. If I started naming them, I'd forget somebody, but I just remember Dr. Rylander was such a gentleman, and he was one of our orthopedic surgeons. But we just had a tremendous amount of great physicians, both at the Quincy Clinic and later on at P&S Clinic. I think the most influential was our family doctor, who was Dr. Merle Crossland. He was a surgeon, but back then, even if you were a surgeon or a specialist, you did a little bit of family medicine. So when we moved to Quincy, he was our family doctor. And I was so fortunate later on when I came back to Quincy after medical school and was doing my residency, I did a couple of rotations with Dr. Crossland. And he was just that kind of guy you wanted to emulate. Great bedside manner, great technique as a surgeon, and just really a quality individual.
In 1986, Quincy Clinic introduced a new concept of care, the Ambulatory Care Center. The Ambulatory Care Center catered to urgent, short-term problems that did not require an emergency room visit. Physicians Dr. Rick Noble and Dr. James Daniels II staffed the new center.
So I joined in 1986 Quincy Clinic, which is across from the junior high. And at the time, Quincy Clinic was very visionary. They basically hired myself and another physician to start up the Ambulatory Care Center. And we worked out of one exam room, and we shared an office, and they put us in the surgical department on the first floor of Quincy Clinic so that people could just walk in the door. We would be right there, but we shared an office with Dr. David Drennan and Dr. Merle Crossland, who were general surgeons for Quincy Clinic at the time. It didn't take long for us to expand from one exam room to 2, and then into 3, and then eventually we forced the surgeons out of their area. It was a time when the visionaries of healthcare were looking at what does the patient want, what are they desiring, and what they came up with is that patients wanted to be seen now, and they wanted to be taken care of now, not have to schedule an appointment, which sounds pretty similar to what we're shooting for at the present time.
Together as one. In the mid-'80s, discussions began between the two groups about a possible merger. In 1987, the decision was finalized, and Quincy Clinic and Physicians and Surgeons Clinic came together to form Quincy Physicians and Surgeons Clinic.
When the news came that our leaders between both groups were looking to put together the groups together, it made such great sense. They were all phenomenal physicians. They all took great care of patients. And at the time, again, being a new guy, I didn't understand that there was strength in numbers, that the physician visionaries knew that if they could combine forces and have a larger group, that they were able to control or help control the direction of healthcare in this region.
QP&S brought together physicians who made an incredible impact on not only those they cared for, but those they worked with as well.
I love Dr. Crossland, Dr. Drennan. Dr. Gilchrist taught me a lot when I was a new scrub technician. He would just hold his hand out and just wait and wait and wait for me, because back in the day, we had to thread different sutures. They're not atraumatic needles that already come with the suture on them, so we had to thread. I was so nervous because, I was a student, and he was so patient. Well, then later on, Dr. Don Gilchrist and I got to be pretty good buddies, and then I scrubbed in his room a lot.
As the 80s came to a close, QP&S began to expand out into our rural communities, reaching patients within a 60-mile radius.